MAGA and DOGE are the enemies within. Welcome to Law and Society. Please subscribe. And I kind of want to go down a list here and talk to you about the dangers that face our republic right now. One disclaimer. When I say MAGA is an enemy within, I don't mean the people who supported Donald Trump. I don't mean even the people who identify as MAGA, who wear proudly MAGA wear and they voted for Donald Trump. And then now they're going to be feeling the impact of Donald Trump's trade policies. I don't mean those MAGA voters. By MAGA, I mean Donald Trump and his closest allies and his oligarchs that are circling him right now. The Project 2025 master builders, the ones who are architects of this sort of autocratic government that we are now seeing blossom. That's what I mean. And by DOGE, I mean Elon Musk and his group of people who have infiltrated the Treasury Department, who have gone after other governmental agencies and infiltrated them and have caused career officials to resign because they are compromising the Treasury, they are compromising the Office of Governmental Services, they're just gutting the federal services. They're offering millions and millions of federal employees with buyouts, which are not legal, or whether they are legal or not is a matter that an employment lawyer would have to discuss. And all of this, mind you, is unnecessary. And that's why I say that MAGA and DOGE are the enemies within, and I wanted to describe to you briefly who I mean by them. Now, I want to run down and sort of simply point out to you that, number one, the war on woke is a race war. Woke is a colloquialism that talks about being aware, being self-aware, being aware of the context within which we exist. Was first used in the African American community and then came into the mainstream vernacular during the Black Lives Matter movement. So anti-woke became an easy way for people who are race baiters and people who want to sort of flare up the racism that already exists in our country. They took up woke, and now they can easily say this is a war on woke. That is, we don't want to be woke. And being woke is being anti-racist. So being anti-woke is being racist. It's just as simple as that. Don't forget it, it's simple. Then we have the DEI purge, which is also sort of a purification war. It's a sort of a race war, purification war, and sort of a war against diversity in our government. Then there's the Democratic Party and anybody who did any investigation or had anything to do with Donald Trump purge. That is also sort of cleaning the government out of career officials to fill in some of those positions with loyalists and leave the rest of them empty so as to hobble our government from functioning properly. So that purification war, and then you have the immigrant purge that's happening, that's going to not only upend the lives of countless families, but also put a wrench in food production in the United States. And obviously the tariffs that happen, and I'll talk briefly about them later, the tariffs also will spike up the cost of food because we export a lot of food from Mexico. And there's going to be a ripple effect of those wars. You have the trans ban, and then you have bans that are coming out of that where, trans ban of the military, then there are the gender policies that are taught in schools. It's going to keep on expanding. The identity wars are going to keep on expanding because the identity wars keep Donald Trump's voters paying more attention to these sort of purification ideals, to the sort of subdued race war, this identity war, the culture wars that have nothing whatsoever to do with putting food on their tables. And that is the war that MAGA wants their voters to be paying attention to. Not at the fact that the cost of living has not gone down. The fact that just yesterday Donald Trump said that there could be some pain and we're going to come out of it stronger. So he's acknowledging that we're going to be facing some economic hardships, which he said would not happen if he became president during the campaign. Things would get better, cost of living would go down. That was his promise. Now he's saying it's the complete opposite. Then we have the trade wars. That is war not just on American consumers and the cost of living going up, whether it be for lumber, building materials for houses, or for food, whether it be bananas or avocados coming in from Mexico. It is a war on American consumers, and it is a war on our closest allies and our trading partners because of the 10% tariff put on Chinese goods. Then you have, I consider that funding freezes, the hiring freezes, and then hobbling the Federal Aviation Administration, infiltrating the Treasury and other parts of the government by DOGE, and giving them sort of buyout options and enacting payment freezes. These things that are happening with the collaboration of Donald Trump and Elon Musk, with Elon Musk getting no pushback from Donald Trump, and nobody in Congress or anywhere is talking about how dire the situation is. I find that to be a war against the United States being conducted from within, in which Donald Trump and Elon Musk are the enemies within, who are waging a war against the stability of the United States from within, whether that be providing grants and research, or whether that be culling public servants, career public servants, and people who were doing their jobs when they were investigating Donald Trump. Then there is Donald Trump's impoundment, which is him withholding aid, withholding grants that have already been dispersed by Congress. It is the president's job to faithfully execute the laws of the United States. And of those laws are the laws which are the spending bills that Congress passes and the president signs. And once he has signed it, he must enforce it. He doesn't have the power under the Constitution to keep that money and withhold that money from being spent, because Congress has authorized the enforcement branch, the executive branch, to spend that money for that particular purpose. Then there's the birthright citizenship fight that's happening, where it doesn't matter which way Donald Trump flips that sandwich, it's going to be that the court will hold up birthright citizenship. And the citizens whom we're talking about, their parents being undocumented does not make them not within the jurisdiction of the United States, because they have been in the United States for decades, if not more, and they have been paying taxes and they have been subject to the laws of the United States. And that makes them, by fact, subject to the laws of the United States and therefore within the jurisdiction of the United States. So that argument also will not work. And the rest of it is simply clear that if you are born in the United States, you are a citizen of the United States. Then we have the grand abuse of the pardon power, where Donald Trump has now flooded our society with his foot soldiers and emboldened them by having Stewart Rhodes as a guest during his rally in Las Vegas, sending out the signal to extremists that when I send out these dog whistles, if you do what I say, you will probably be shown clemency by me. It's very likely that I will make sure that you are immunized or find qualified immunity. He's already talked about immunizing police forces. He may do that with quasi police forces as well. And then talk of him having a third term that's it's violation of the 22nd Amendment, and we don't know where that's going to go, but in order for that to happen, the Constitution has to be rewritten. So all of these things, from the impoundment to birthright citizenship to pardon and the third term, I consider those to be war against our Constitution. So in this about 10 minutes, I explained to you why our democracy now is in crisis, that our rights are in peril, that our country is about to go through an economic downturn, and our country is about to go through an international humiliation, the likes of which we have never seen. And I want you to be prepared. When you listen to the news, if you're listening to me, I want you to cross-reference what I say with other sources that you also take in. I want you to be able to bring in as many resources for yourself from as many sources that you can. Then build the truth in your head. And then be able to stand up for your country and stand up for your rights. Stand up for the rights of others. If you're in sanctuary cities, know the rights that you have for private spaces. Speak to immigration attorneys. This is the time for immigration attorneys and employment attorneys to stand up and say, we are going to defend these people who are being targeted. With that said, thank you so much for listening, and I'll talk to you soon. Oh, please remember to like and subscribe.